Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today the topic of my discussion is oxidative phosphorylation. What is oxidative phosphorylation? It is a very simple topic and it is related to the previous topics that we have discussed, electron transport chain and chemiosmotic theory. There are two types of phosphorylations. One is oxidative phosphorylation that we are going to discuss now, and the other is the substrate level phosphorylation that we have discussed earlier. Substrate level phosphorylation mostly occurs, as we have seen, that in glycolysis the substrate level phosphorylation takes place, in which the ATP synthesis takes place in one step or in the next step. When the direct synthesis of ATP occurs, when one substance is converted into the other substance with the help of some enzymes, then there is the production of ATP, that is known as substrate level phosphorylation. So what is oxidative phosphorylation? When the electron transport chain is responsible for the synthesis of ATP, then this process is known as oxidative phosphorylation. When ATP synthesis is linked with the electron transport chain, then it is known as oxidative phosphorylation, means oxidation of substrate followed by the synthesis of ATP in the electron transport chain is known as oxidative phosphorylation. When there is a direct synthesis of ATP substrate without the electron transport chain, it is known as substrate level phosphorylation, as we have discussed in previous lectures, in the lectures of the glycolysis. Oxidative phosphorylation includes the phosphorus and oxygen ratio. Obviously, ATP will be produced and ultimately the electrons that are transferred to the oxygen, and then there is a formation of the water molecule. Number of inorganic phosphate consumed per ATP production per molecule of oxygen consumed. This is the oxygen and inorganic phosphate ratio, means how much molecules, number of the inorganic phosphate, that the molecules of inorganic phosphates are consumed per molecule of oxygen consumed. This is the balanced ratio in which the ATP are produced and oxygen is consumed. In simple terms, it denotes the ATP production. Obviously, NADH is involved in the pathway of electron transport chain. FADH2 is involved in the transfer of electrons from the in the whole electron transport chain. It starts the process from succinate to FADH2, electrons are transferred and the whole process is completed. So we know that one NADH is responsible for the production of 2.5 ATP and one FADH2 is responsible for the production of 1.5 ATP. And we have also discussed in the previous lectures in the electron transport chain and the chemiosmotic hypothesis that the complex 1, 3 and 4 are basically involved in the synthesis of ATP, and these three complexes are responsible for the production of hydrogen ions and they pump the hydrogen ions outside the membrane. The FADH2 skips the first complex, so that's why the ATP production is less here, and that is the 1.5 ATP, because it is from second step to the third and then fourth. ATP synthase is made up of FO and F1 subunit. F1 subunit is first factor isolated from mitochondria. It is composed of gamma handle, 3 alpha, 3 beta, and also there are 3 delta subunits. During the transfer of proton from FO, the beta handle rotates, due to which there is a rotation of beta subunit, and there is a response, then that is responsible for the ATP production. That means the lecture we have discussed previously, that is the chemiosmosis, that is the chemiosmotic hypothesis, in which the electrons are transferred in the electron transport chain and oxygen molecule is consumed for the production of water, and ultimately we know that hydrogen ions are pumped outside the membrane and then they came back inside the membrane. They are transferred across the membrane from with the help of ATP synthase. Then there is the production of energy when it is connected to the electron transport chain, means when hydrogen ions are transferred from the ATP synthase from outside the mitochondrial membrane to inside the mitochondrial membrane, then there is a production of energy then this process is known as oxidative phosphorylation, means synthesis of ATP when it is connected with the electron transport chain, it is known as oxidative phosphorylation. Hope you have understood the lecture. If you have any query, you can ask in the comment section. Thank you very much.